2024 is a grand rising. And the theme for October, one of my favorite months, power to the people. Right on! And today, the message is, power begins within. Unity minister Catherine Ponder wrote, ancient seers, long before the time of Christ, believed there were 12 cosmic centers in humans, which, if understood and consciously directed, could release tremendous power into their mind, their body, and affairs. Ernest Holmes wrote, there must be a recognition that the power of the Word, operating as truth and reality of being, can do all things. I invite you to recognize that. Let's affirm together. I go within and connect with my source of power and use the power of my word wisely. Thank you. Okay, and now we're going to listen to the power of Reverend Kathleen's word.
Did you know? Testing. Hello? Okay. Let's try this again. Now that I have everybody's attention. Did you know that life has 3 levels of existence? Did you know that? The 3 levels of existence are this. There's pain and pleasure in the physical plane. There is enlightenment in the spiritual plane. And there is no knee room in the airplane. So October is about the highest use of power in the spiritual plane. Personally, in our own lives, and also to uplift and unify ourselves as families, as communities, as country, as the world. So it's right use of power. And there is so much, think about what we can do. There's so much that we can do, so many things that we have done really as a spiritual community, but so many things that we can continue to do to make a difference in the world, to use the amazing creative power that we have within us. And we continue to bring this information forward because the great William James said that we only use a very small fraction of the power that's available to us because we're going around unconsciously, often from patterns that we've learned in the past, misusing it. So this month is about coming really clean with our use of power through our word and through our thought and through our words and through our actions. So today, how to use power properly and how we misuse it. I mean, I think that's an aspect of it too, but also how to cultivate these 12 centers that we're talking about of higher power that are in our body temple. And we can thank, and when I put this message together, I was thinking of my dear friend, Reverend Mary Ann Moulter, who is a retired Unity minister, and so this is going to be very near and dear to her heart, I am sure. The 12 powers. So let's begin with how do we drain ourselves of power. I'm sure we have some pretty good ideas. And basically it has to do with distancing ourselves, separating ourselves from our fellow humans, and it even goes beyond that to things on our planet, the animals, the plants, etc. And we do that out of resentment, judgment, bitterness, a sense of disappointment, a sense of unworthiness, envy, fear, superiority. I think you're getting the idea, right? All of those distressing ways of being, thinking, being, that drain our power and that actually come from giving our power to external circumstances. Giving our power, basically saying these external things have power over me. It's very draining. And so it's time to stop doing it and being aware and noticing the ways in which we do that so that we can stand in our full majesty and power and be that amazing beneficial presence that we are called here to be. So I always like to go back to Dr. David Hawkins' work because it was so powerful. He used kinesiology or muscle testing to look, even just to look at the power or weakness of certain words. And so there's the word power, which actually is a very powerful word. And then there's force. So force, when we talk about misusing, force is the way of the ego. And so what does it do? It's polarizing, put downs, dehumanizing, creating a sense of separation. That's force. And then and it's important to understand that even though it looks really powerful to the physical eyes, energetically it's actually very weak. Ultimately, it's very weak. And power, spiritual power, is so much more powerful because power, rightly used, unifies, energizes, uplifts, dignifies, gives support. You've got the idea, right? It expresses the life and the love and the glory and the majesty that we are, and that awareness of our oneness with all life and with each other. And we have a powerful spiritual method, tool that we use that Kelly so beautifully demonstrated today, spiritual mind treatment. Spiritual mind treatment is designed to bring us into that state of oneness consciousness, that state of spiritual power, by understanding we are of that presence. We are one with it of that presence, that life, that power, which I call God. And therefore, we have a responsibility to use that word to create that which unifies, uplifts, and dignifies life, our own lives, and the lives of others. And at the same time, because it fills our minds, and our subconscious mind transforms our subconscious mind as we continue to use it over time, it neutralizes those beliefs that drain our power, which is a really important piece. I'd like to add to that, though, this wonderful information that has been collated and spoken about and demonstrated over and over again by our Unity brothers and sisters. They're New Thought brothers and sisters. We're all part of the New Thought movement. And those are the 12 powers of man that Charles Fillmore, their founder, wrote a book about a long time ago. And recently I've been rereading Catherine Ponder. Actually, Michelle and I have been kind of doing it together, rereading Catherine Ponder's book, called The Healing Secrets of the Ages. And Catherine Ponder writes that the knowledge of these 12 cosmic centers, it's not something original with unity. It was drawn from documents of ancient times, the ancient Greeks, Persians, Egyptians, Hindus, and others that referred to these various energy centers in the body. So it was studied and you know the words that the power words that go with each of these centers were noted. And notice I know there's a 7 chakra system that people are aware of. This actually has 12 to it, and you'll see in just a moment. So let's go ahead and put that up, Dan. Yeah. So these can be developed and called upon to heal our bodies and transform our lives. And they correspond to the various different parts of the body, as you can see, and different glands or different organs in the body. And overseeing the whole thing, and it's not shown on the picture up there, but it's the Christ consciousness, or higher self, you could call it, whatever wording works for you. The Christ consciousness, the Buddha consciousness, or the higher self, the divine self, oversees the whole thing. And so we're going to be doing in a few moments an activation of all of these 12 powers plus the Christ consciousness through a meditation process. So the way of using these then is twofold. Number one, stop misusing it by where you place your attention, by the words that you use. And the second part then is to use either the words themselves, you can use them as a mantra, like understanding, etc., or affirmations that relate to those words. And this book, The Healing Secrets of the Ages, is just rich in stories, demonstrations, powerful demonstrations of healings. And remembering that when these powers were discovered and being used, that the medical profession was not helping people. People were dying of tuberculosis and things like that. And the 2 founders of Unity, the Fillmores, both had tuberculosis, were given death sentences by the doctors, and used this technology to completely heal their bodies. And there are lots of other examples as well. And I'm wanting to bring this back to our attention because there is so much more than we can do. It doesn't mean that we don't go to the chiropractor or that we still do those things, but there is so much more that we can do with the transformation of our consciousness by knowing some of these really powerful things. So I'm liking the idea of combining this wisdom of our Unity brothers and sisters and the wisdom of Science of Mind, which is the spiritual mind treatment, together to form a really powerful sister technology, brother-sister technology that we can use. So I want to give you a story, one of the stories from her book. She talks about you can release the mind power of understanding, which is up here, which she said understanding is actually enlightenment in expression. When we understand, it's our Christ light, our higher self's light. It's lighted up and working and drawing upon the intuitive voice of God, the intuition. And understanding comes from there, and actually will comes from there too. They're both in this area. So Catherine Ponder wrote about a woman with rheumatism in her hands, arms, knees, and feet. Lots of swelling, lots of pain, lots of discomfort. And so she went to a spiritual counselor, and the spiritual counselor helped the woman understand that there was no healing that could be done as long as she held on to a bitter, unforgiving state of mind, because that's where this woman was really focused on. And so that was the first thing, is she had to commit to stop reliving the past. Stop reliving the past, letting it go. That was number one. And then she was given an affirmation. And this is what it was. This is the essence of it. The forgiving love of the Christ light, and there's the word light, enlightenment, has set me free of the past and mistakes of the past and their results. There is no condemnation in Christ, and there's no condemnation in me. The Christ light in me now frees, heals, and cleanses me. So this was her mantra. I know it's pretty complex, but this is what she did and focused on for 2 months. For 2 months. A complete and total healing. And there are more and more of these that are, in the books. So I really am inviting all of us on our own, because it's way too much for me to cover here, obviously, in one talk or even in a month's worth of talks. But I invite you to do some research on your own so that you can continue to develop these 12 powers, along with taking classes. So Dean and Candace have a class coming up to learn how to expand your mental equivalent, expand your imagination of what's possible for you. Two months of repetition. It's a commitment. It's a commitment to keep repeating that one thing over and over again, and the faith that it's going to work. So let's now do an activation of our own 12 powers and the Christ consciousness. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. So let's yawn and stretch. Ah. 3 yawns and stretches. Ah. Ah. Okay. And let's then return to our noticing of the breath, allowing our breath to go deeper, deeper and deeper. Some nice, deep, slow breaths. Cleansing breaths. And as you do so, we're going to follow a wave of relaxation from head to toe, using our Christ consciousness, which is our divine intelligence. So start at the top of the head, over at the top of the head, and bring that Christ conscious awareness like a wave of relaxation. And say to all those body parts that seem tense, I release and I let go. You can say it out loud if you want to. I release and I let go. I release and I let go. I release and I let go. Keep your eyes closed. Stay in that beautiful state of relaxation. And let's proclaim from the Christ consciousness mind again, going back to the top. And say out loud after me with great power in your word. I am divine intelligence.
I am divine intelligence.
I am letting divine intelligence express perfectly.
I am letting divine intelligence express perfectly
Through me now.
through me now.
Take another sweep of the whole body of the Christ mind, bringing even greater relaxation. And with your eyes still closed, let's activate the 12 power centers using gentle, loving attention. So we're not forcing it, we're using gentle, loving attention. Okay, point to the area with your finger between your eyes and imagine it going back into the center of your head where the pineal gland is. And with each word that you say, imagine that the pineal gland lights up. So we're going to use the power word now. And we're going to say it 3 times together. It's faith. Let's do it together. Faith.
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 Faith. Again, see it lighting up. Okay, put your finger now to the small of your back. And this is the power center of strength. So let's say it together 3 times. Strength. 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 Okay, point to the heart center, and not directly on the heart, but in the center of the chest. And of course, this is the center of love, so let's say it again gently, but with power. Love, love, love. And let's put our hand on our larynx. It's actually the root of the tongue, or the larynx. And this is the center of creative power, so we're going to use the word power. Power, power, power. Okay, now between the eyes, and right in the area in the front here, between the eyes, and this is the center of imagination. So let's light up the imagination center with these words. Imagination, imagination, imagination. One more time. Imagination. And now the faculties that I talked about before, that are will and understanding, we're going to say light. Are you ready? Light, 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 light. Okay, next, the navel. Put your finger on your navel. And then right behind the navel is the power of order. 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 And just above that, in the solar plexus, is the center of wisdom and discernment. So we're going to say we're going to use wisdom though. Wisdom, wisdom, wisdom. The back of the neck is actually the root of the brain, of this brain stem. And this is the power center of zeal, which is like enthusiasm and passion for life and living. So let's just say it with passion. Zeal, zeal, zeal. Okay, and then in the sexual organs, of course, it's going to be in a different place for men and women, but just you can just have that general area. You can put your hands in that area and just say a life, and this is life itself, that activating, energizing, rejuvenating life. So let's say life together. Life, life, life. And then finally, at the base of the spinal column, this is the area of elimination or release of all that does not serve you. And so let's say together, release. Release, release, release. And after you do those 12 centers, you can then focus on any particular power center that's related to health problems or other areas in your life. But we're not going to do that today. We're going to do a final sweep of the whole body from the Christ mind center all the way down through the body with joy. We're going to sweep ourselves with the wellspring of joy. So, joy 3 times. Joy, 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 joy. Yeah. So everybody stand up, open your eyes, stand up. Arms up. I give thanks
I give thanks
for activating
for activating creating
the 12 power centers
the 12 power centers
in my body temple.
in my body temple.
And I am so grateful
And I am so grateful
for the guidance and direction of the Christ consciousness.
for the guidance and direction of the Christ consciousness.
And so I now go forth
And so I now go forth
and use this power
and use this power
for good.